Your first alert forecast, adding up to a steamier day, adding up to some storms later. So we'll prepare, right? Pack the rain gear, grab the umbrella, toss one in the kids' backpack as we start out right at seasonable. Upper 60s this morning, and those clouds and the humidity slow down that cooling, but we're really more likely to see the rain and storms start developing later today. So that's why it's just kind of nice to have it ready to go. As you can see, it's first scattered clouds moving around this morning, limiting some fog. Then by midday, first couple of storms could start popping up along the edge of the Cumberland Mountains to Plateau and the Smokies. So very limited at first because it's just becoming steamier and steamier. It helps to kind of cook up a few more storms for later. So by 3 o'clock, we've got a couple of storms up into the Smokies and again along the plateau to the mountains of northeast Tennessee, like Morgan to Anderson to Campbell, Scott County. Got a couple of storms in your neck of the woods around the time the kids are getting out of school. By 5 o'clock, still a few storms brewing up into the Smokies and along the plateau to the mountains, and then really wanting to fill in still in the evening. So it's very important. We've been talking about that kind of brief window of 40% coverage today in rain and storms. That is still aimed at kind of the tail end of the day. On a Thursday, we've always got a couple of those rivalry Thursday games that are really big. We've also just got a lot of people who start their weekend a little bit earlier on Thursdays. So you can see those storms sliding down the mountain foothills through parts of Blunt and Sevier and Jefferson into Knox and Anderson. So we can end the day with some very heavy rain and rumbles of thunder branching out through the valley. Still a couple of storms, Smokies and the plateau. You can see it then wanting to stretch out across that, kind of bridge that gap between the valley and the plateau, while we still have some storms brewing up into the Smokies and becoming spotty for your overnight tonight. This just kind of kicks off that extra humidity, that little extra activity with a few downpours. I'd say it's more of a brief 40% coverage still. That's definitely a good trend. Isolated throughout the afternoon in the Smokies and Plateau, and then kind of filling in to that 40% coverage to end the day. So that's why we see these very isolated spikes up to a ½ inch to an inch in these blues at the tops of the mountains and on the plateau, and then that streak that cuts through the valley that could add up to some isolated heavy rainfall cutting through parts of Knox County. So that does leave us with a steamy day and isolated storms at first, and then that comes back down with those scattered storms. So that'll put us around 84 going into the early afternoon, but it'll feel like upper 80s. That's what helps to create those storms. High today 87 will still feel like low 90s. So yesterday was a little warmer, but today's a little more humid. So that's important there because that just pushes up what it feels like for you on this Thursday. In the forecast where you live, this is what our highs are looking like. Again, feeling about 5 degrees warmer. 88 is where you're headed today. Athens to Loudon, ahead of these couple storms. 87 in Knoxville to Oak Ridge. Again, pause here. You can see some of these very isolated developing downpours. 83 your high today, Crossville to 86 in La Follette. 88 Williamsburg to 86 Tazewell. 86 in Morristown and 87 in Pigeon Forge. Now tomorrow is looking a little quieter, but we'll already have some spotty rain. So basically we'll just kind of keep it going. Spots of rain in the morning, in the midday and afternoon, even a couple of showers and storms just kind of dancing around throughout the day. So that's more of a typical summer story with the heat and humidity Friday through your weekend, feeling like low 90s the whole time, keeping some isolated rain and storms around through Monday, but it does still look to become more scattered next Tuesday, afternoons and evenings the rest of next week. Notice that power tee. We're keeping an eye on that first UT home opener.